Hi lovely people, welcome. Today I will talk about the freeze response, the third trauma response. Quick note before we start, I am sharing this as a nurse and from my own personal experience, but everything on this channel is for information and education only, not personal medical advice. Okay, let's get into it. You probably heard of flight or fight, but have you ever felt completely unable to move, unable to make a decision, unable to act even when you desperately wanted to? Have you ever shut down in the middle of difficult situation, gone blank, gone numb, gone somewhere else inside yourself? Have you ever procrastinated so badly on something important that you couldn't understand your own behavior? That is not a laziness, that is not weakness, that is not a lack of motivation. That is freeze, that third trauma response. In previous videos we talked about fight or flight and hypervigilance, the alarm that never switched off. Today we go to the another end of the spectrum. What happens when the nervous system goes past fight or flight into something quieter, something that looks from the outside like nothing, but inside feels like everything? When a threat feels too big to fight and too fast to flee, the nervous system has one more option: freeze. You have seen this in animals. A mouse going completely still when a cat approaches, playing dead. This is not a choice. This is an automatic biological response. The nervous system essentially says, fighting won't work, running won't work, so we shut down. Physically, what happens is remarkable. Your heart rate drops, your muscles go slack, pain sensitivity decreases. You may feel disconnected from your body, like you are watching yourself from a distance. In genuine life-threatening situations, this response can be life-saving. Predators are triggered by movement. Going still can mean survival, and the numbing of pain allows the body to endure what would otherwise be unbearable. But like fight or flight, freeze was designed for genuine physical threat, not for the meeting with a difficult boss, not for the conversation you need to have but you keep avoiding, not for the creative project you desperately want to do but cannot start. When freeze fires in everyday situation, and it doesn't constantly, for people with dysregulated nervous system, it looks very different from a mouse facing a cat. It looks like procrastination. It looks like blanking out. It looks like scrolling for hours without knowing why. It looks like being unable to make a simple decision. It looks like going quiet when you need to speak. It looks like doing nothing when everything in you wants to act. And from the outside, and often from the inside too, it just looks like failing. Freeze almost always has roots in early experience. When you were a child and the threat was too big, an aggressive parent, an overwhelming situation, emotional pain that had no outlet, and you couldn't fight and you couldn't run, you froze. You went somewhere else inside you. You went quiet. You disconnected. You waited for it to be over. And that worked. In that moment, in that environment, shutting down was the safest available option. Problem is the nervous system saw it as a reliable strategy. So now, decades later, when something feels threatening, even mildly threatening, the freeze response can fire automatically. A difficult email arrives and you cannot open it for 3 days. Someone asks something of you that feels overwhelming and you go blank. You have a dream, a goal, something you desperately want to do, and you cannot start. No matter how much you want to, no matter how much time passes, The last one, the freeze around creativity or personal project, is one of the most painful and least understood manifestation, because you want it so much and you cannot move towards it. And the gap between wanting and doing feels like a personal failure. It is not failure, it is freeze. Your nervous system assessed the situation, exposure, the possibility of judgment or rejection, and decided not safe, shut down, wait. I want to be honest with you about my own experience of freeze. I know it well. I experienced it when I started my YouTube channel, especially around posting personal content in my own language, Polish, where my family could see it. I had the script written, I had everything ready, and I could not press record, not for weeks. And I kept telling myself, just do it. What is wrong with you? You know this material, you believe in this. Why can you just start? But the more I pushed myself, the more frozen I became. Because underneath the procrastination was not laziness, it was fear. Real, old, deep fear. Being seen, being judged, being found lacking. Exactly what's happened in childhood when attention came my way. My nervous system remembered, and it shut the door. What helped was not pushing harder, it was understanding what was actually happening, naming it, having compassion for it, and then taking the smallest possible step, not the whole thing, just one tiny movement towards it. One sentence written, 1 minute recorded, one breath taken before pressing the button. Tiny, safe, doable, and eventually I pressed publish. Not because the fear went away, but because I understood it well enough to move gently towards it. Here are the signs that freeze may be showing up in your life. Chronic procrastination, especially of things that matter most to you. Difficulty making decisions, even small ones, feeling overwhelming. Going blank in confrontational or emotionally charged situation. Dissociation, feeling disconnected from yourself or like you are watching your life from a distance. Numbing behavior, scrolling, overeating, excessive sleeping, anything that keeps you in a kind of suspended state. Feeling stuck, knowing what you want but being unable to move towards it. Shutting down emotionally when things get intense, going quiet, going flat, going away inside. And a pervasive feeling of I should be doing more, I want to do more, why can I not do more? If this sounds familiar, please hear this. You are not lazy, you are not weak, you are not broken. Your nervous system learned that stillness was safety, and it is still trying to protect you, even when protection is no longer what you need. So what actually helps when freeze has become a pattern? First, name it. When you notice yourself stuck, avoiding, unable to start, say it out loud. This is freeze. My nervous system is protecting me. I am not lazy. Naming it immediately reduces the shame, and shame is one of the things that deepens freeze. The less shame, the more movement becomes possible. Second, go tiny. Freeze responds to tiny, not to big motivation pushes, not to discipline and willpower. The nervous system assesses the size of the task, and if it feels threatening, shuts down. Make the task so small it doesn't trigger the alarm. Not write the whole report, write one sentence. Not record the whole video. Press record and say one word. Tiny is not giving up. Tiny is outsmarting the freeze. Third, movement before action. Physical movement before attempting the frozen task. Walk around the room, shake your hands, jump lightly on the spot. Movement discharges the freeze energy and brings the nervous system back online. Even 2 minutes of movement before sitting down to a frozen task makes a genuine difference. Fourth, warmth and self-compassion. Freeze deepens in cold, harsh, critical environment, internal or external. Warmth melts it. Literally a warm drink, a warm room, wrapping yourself in something soft, and internally speaking to yourself with the same gentleness you would offer a frightened child, because that is essentially what is happening. A frightened child inside you decided it was not safe to move. Harsh self-criticism will not change that. Gentle understanding will. Fifth, celebrate every tiny movement. Every single time you move through freeze, however small the action, acknowledge it. And grand celebration is not needed. Just a quiet internal is enough. I did that. I move. That counts. Because it does count. Every movement through freeze is your nervous system learning something new. Safe. I move. Nothing terrible happened. Safe. I moved. Nothing terrible happened. Repeated enough times, the freeze begins to melt. I want to say something before I close. Fight, flight, freeze. Those are not character traits. They are not your identity. They are not who you are. They are responses. Learned responses. Brilliant responses that keep you safe when you needed them. And responses, unlike character, can change. Not overnight, not perfectly, but gradually, gently, with understanding and compassion. They change. Next week, I will talk about something that sits right in the heart of everything we have been building across this series. What your gut is really telling you. The gut-brain connection, and why your digestive system knows things your conscious mind hasn't caught up with yet. If today's video resonated with you, if you recognize freeze in your own life, please share it. So many people are carrying shame about procrastination, about shutting down, about not being able to move towards the things they want most. They deserve to know what is actually happening. Leave a comment below. Where does freeze show up most in your life? Take care of yourself. Be gentle with the frozen parts. They are just trying to keep you safe. See you next week. Bye bye.